What's up, everybody? Just get Morgan on here real quick.
Hey.
Okay,
Yeah.
right now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, and I can hear you. I'm going to go share this
Same.
so that's in all the appropriate places. Okay, to the page. Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. To my page. And then my profile. Okay. There we go. Release.
Sorry, had to turn all those off.
Okay. You're like, I'm busy.
I forgot to mute it.
All right.
Okay, we're good. Good to
We're
go.
good?
We're golden.
Sweet.
No,
Awesome.
It's not kicking off.
Okay, hang on. I gotta make sure I can see comments and stuff. Okay, there we go. I was like, I can't see. Okay, hey Stephanie, Jordan. Hey guys. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday again.
Yes. Welcome to episode 11 of the AWAKEN Vlogcast today. And today's topic that Morgan picked is emotions.
Emotions.
So it's going to be pretty good, I have a feeling.
I think so too. And it just always randomly comes to me. Like, I know we have a list and stuff, but I'll just be going on about my day and I'm like, oh my gosh, we could do this. And I was like, emotions. Because again, like everything we're going through is like what we talk about. And just emotions are really, there's just a lot around emotions lately in my life. Like as me growing as a person, me having kids, being married, and just I know everyone else, we're all people and we have emotions, and usually we're out of touch with our emotions, or we've been made to feel our emotions are negative things and like don't trust your emotions and all these. So there's a lot around emotions, and so I was like, it's just appropriate to talk about now. And yeah, so we'll see where it goes. We wander off into wherever these, but
always come back though.
It always comes back around perfectly. Yes.
So I think emotions, it's something we deal with all the time. It's obviously we're having a human experience, right? So we're not going to have no emotions. I mean, I guess there are some people that are like that, but is that really living? Really?
Right. And then why did they get that way? You know, we don't start off that way.
True. I think, when we talked on this a little bit before last time about the brain too, like how certain things get affected, when babies are growing or being in the environment that they're growing in has a lot to do with it too, their brain development and how those things happen. So I think that's where the whole, some people can be empathetic and then compassionate, and then others it's like not even on their radar. They don't even understand what we're trying to talk about. So
they're like, what? It's like a foreign language to them.
Yeah.
And it's rough.
Well, it's funny too that you said emotions is what you wanted to pick for the topic, because I don't know if it's just the outer world, like I'm talking like universe, like planet, stars, stuff going on right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like the full moon, this weekend. Like there's a lot of stuff going on right now. So that's very interesting to me that that was the topic you chose. I mean, we hadn't really talked about it, so I kind of laughed to myself when you said it over. I was like, figures, it's totally irrelevant. It's
like,
totally relevant right now.
Of course. And see, those are the things like I'm aware of, but I'm never like in the moment with them. But then weird stuff like that, and weird in a good way. When I say weird, it's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing for me. It's just weird coincidences happen, and it's always perfect. It always makes sense. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. So yeah, emotions. I don't know. Do you have notes? You're always so good at notes, or should we just...
So it's funny that the time you would ask this, the one time I don't have my notes.
Okay. It's okay.
Today was a pretty busy day, so it wasn't what it usually would be for me.
I don't know.
So no, I don't
I
have
never
notes.
have notes.
But this is stuff I talk about all the time. I like having notes for me because I will go off way in left field, and I'm going to bring myself back. So if I start doing that too far, bring me back in.
Okay. Same. Likewise.
Okay. You
Because
do
that
pretty good.
happens.
I just get passionate about what I'm talking about, and like I will go off on something that's like nothing to do with what we originally started with. And I'm like, wait,
Right.
what were we talking about? And I'm like, I don't know. So if that happens, just pull me back in. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Or if it happens
So
with
what I love,
us, you
yeah.
you viewers watching, our friends, will be like, bring it back in now, you crazies.
So one of the things I was gonna say, so this is something that we talk about all the time in life in general, at least
Thank
in
you.
my world. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always talking about emotions, with clients and stuff like that, family even, or close friends. I'm always talking about those things because they're important, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially for like what I do. It literally ties in together. The emotional body, the physical body, the spiritual body, like it's all one, right? So it's important to take care of each one of those separately too, and not just one and not the other. It has to be a balance. Um, so one of the things, for those of you who don't even know what actually emotions are, it's just energy in motion. And I think,
Emotion.
yeah. So I think we might have touched on this on a past episode on the Awaken Vlogcast, but I'm just gonna re-say it anyway, just in case we didn't, because I talk
Definitely.
about it all the time. So I don't know if I was talking about it or we were talking about it, but either way. So that's why it's important, when things come up in your life that are hard, or I don't like that word hard, but when opportunities come up,
Challenging.
yeah,
The
challenges.
challenge. Yeah.
This is we talk about this too. Like you say challenges, I say opportunities. It's all
Yeah.
good. It's all the
Yeah.
same thing.
It's all the same. Yeah.
It's all perspectives. Um, but that's why it's important when those things come up to address them as they're coming up. And what I mean by address them is if you feel certain emotions, it's not to judge those emotions. Like it's okay to feel those emotions because you are a human being. Well, you're a spiritual being
Yeah.
having a human being
In a human
experience,
body,
right? Yeah. So you're meant to feel those things. That's why we
Yeah.
are given those gifts to feel emotions. Um, but it's important to feel those because if you don't and you don't move through those things, and I'll explain that in a second. The reason that's important because energy isn't in motion, right? Emotion is energy in motion. If you're not dealing with them, it's going to get stuck. And we've talked about this where it can get stuck in your energetic body.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talked about. You can have pains that you're like, I don't know where this pain came from. I'm so good at getting to the root of people's stuff. Like
You
that's my
are.
big.
You're really good.
I could have been a
You're an
detective. I
expert.
think it might
You're
have been
level
past.
100.
But that's why it's important to address those things and deal with them because it can get stuck and it can manifest into other things. And what I mean when I said that I move through them, I'm not saying just dismiss them and like, oh, I don't want to feel that. Like, no, to move through it, you actually have to
Gotta go
feel
through
through it.
it. You got
Yeah.
to.
And it's gonna be messy sometimes. You're gonna have like snot running down your face and
It's gonna
tears.
suck, and
There's
you're
gonna
gonna be
be
like,
times you're like screaming
yeah,
because you're angry.
yeah, or cursing even. I'm a cursor
Yeah.
if I'm mad. I'm just like, F word lots of times.
So, and that's all okay. And then what I was saying is, don't judge those things because they are just emotions. They're not actually you. It's just how you are perceiving or experiencing whatever's going on.
Right.
So when you move through it, just take a moment to really feel whatever it is you're feeling. If you're sad, feel sad. If you're angry, feel angry. Um, I don't know. If you're happy, feel happy. I know that's not really one that's hard. Like everybody can feel happy when they're feeling happy,
Right.
but usually we
Sometimes
talk about
people
the nice
can
ones.
feel guilty for being happy, though.
That is true. So yeah, if you feel happy, and
Yeah.
don't judge any of those emotions as you're feeling them. There's a reason you're feeling them. And normally, like what I would say with it, negative emotions, whatever we've talked about that. There's no such thing
Yeah.
as that. Whatever emotion is there, and I'm specifically talking about probably anger or sadness in this moment. Don't judge it why it's there, but ask yourself questions. Like I'll use myself as an example. If somebody triggers me, because that's exactly what it is, nobody can make you feel any way. You
Mm-hmm.
feel the way you feel. Yes, what they said could be kind of a jerk thing to say or whatever, but at the end of the day, they're not so powerful that they can make you feel anything that you don't want to feel,
Right.
or that you just feel because of whatever programs are going on in your head. So let's say that somebody does something and it triggers me, right? And, and then I get angry, which wouldn't be relevant for me, though. Since we're talking about me, I'm going to say sad, because
Yeah.
anger is always a secondary emotion.
I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen you like mad.
No, because even if I'm mad, that's not the first emotion I'm feeling. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
walk them through it. So
Yeah.
I'm really sad, okay? Whatever they did, I was really sad. and it hurt my feelings. Well, it's up to me. That's a trigger for me, or we've talked about shining the spotlight on it. Why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
Why is what this stranger said to me affecting me? Or why is this person that's so close to me affecting me like this? Like, what does this really mean? And you just start asking yourself these questions, and it will blow your mind, because when we're talking about it consciously right now, you're like, I have no idea why I'd act that way. But if you do it in the moment, what you're doing is you're training your brain to start not just automatically feeling a certain way by default. Like, you're actually like, well, am I really sad? Or what does this have to do with? Oh, this has to do with me in second grade, somebody making fun of me, like whatever. It
Yeah.
gives you the opportunity to heal it, because when you're asking yourself, you always know the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you seek is within you. Nobody out here, Morgan or me or anybody else in this world, is not going to have your answers. It all resides inside you. So that's why it's important to learn to question yourself. And the more you do that, that'll become second nature to you. So you're not just going to be living by default. You're going to be living consciously, intentfully. And I think it's really important and really powerful, because I talk all the time with people about taking their power back. And that's what I mean by it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean don't feel those things, but like, really get to the root. Why are you feeling those things?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you do that when you get upset, Morgan? Like, do you?
I do that now. I did not used to do that.
Yes. And I
But
haven't
that's
done that
part
long
of,
too, just so we're clear. I was
right.
not out of the womb like, yes, I got it. Like, this
Yeah.
is taking me a long time to learn.
Right. It's just, it's a process. And just through this journey that I've been on, because you should be learning and growing always. You're never going to
Mm-hmm.
be at a point in your life where you know everything,
You
you
should never
know.
be.
Exactly. That's, if you're stagnant, like, there's, gotta move it on a little bit. And sometimes the universe will move it for you. And be like, okay, here's
100%.
something.
So
And then
accurate.
you're like, oh my God, everything was fine. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. But anyways, I have really learned, kind of like you said, and I know you've been a big part of my journey. Sorry, my nose is itching. Just getting to the root of the problem, asking yourself questions, talking to yourself in a way, because that's okay. You have
You're
to
not crazy, people.
feel.
If you talk to yourself, you're actually very healthy.
Yeah,
So
I talk to
always
myself
do that.
all the time. Sometimes you even notice how, like, if you're thinking, you're not saying anything, but your mouth still moves. Like, does
I
everyone
just
do
say it
that?
out
Or
loud.
okay, because I'll be like thinking in my head, and I'll be like mouthing, even though I'm not saying anything. And I
But you're
wonder,
bringing it to the physical
totally
by doing
random thought, but anyways, oh my gosh, I totally squirrel brained there. But yeah, you got to go through the emotions. No, I have not always been that way. It's a process. It's a constant process. And, but when you get there and you start training your brain to react differently than you have in the past, it's really very freeing. And that does allow you to move through those emotions, and they don't become trapped in your
Yes.
body. They don't become things that you're constantly bringing back up in your mind, like reliving it over and over again, whether it's an embarrassing
Mm-hmm.
moment or sad or depressed or whatever it was. You process it then, and then you move on. And
You really.
one thing that I've really, it's kind of deep and kind of weird and hard to explain, but something I learned, we are a soul or a spirit or whatever you want to call it in a human body. The human body is the thing experiencing the life that you're living. It's the thing experiencing the emotions and the thoughts. So who you actually are is the being
Yeah.
that's observing the thoughts,
Yeah.
even the
You're
thoughts in
the
your
observer of
head.
your
You're the
thoughts. Yeah.
observer of your thoughts, because
That's huge.
if you can't observe it, you are not it. So like,
Yeah.
I can look at my body, like, yeah, I'm Morgan, I have a body. Even on the screen, like, I'm looking at my reflection, that's not me.
Yeah.
Even my thoughts, if you say like hello in your head, just like right now, just think hello in your head, just say the word over and over. Like, you think, okay, well, that's myself, that's my thought. That's not your thought. You're the thing that's listening
That's
to you
hearing.
say hello. Like, you're
Yeah.
strictly an observer experiencing these things. And like, I hope I did an okay job explaining that, but that really tripped me up a little bit when I first heard it. but that helps me process those things, because when I can take that step back and I just like take it back and like, okay, I'm feeling mad, or I saw this post and it made me mad, or my husband said this and it made me mad, or whatever the case. I'm like, okay, well, I'm noticing these mad feelings, but that's not me. That's just my body, my mind reacting to this. And that's, for whatever reason, just it helps alleviate the pain of it, the struggle of it a little bit, and then allows me to process through it.
Power away, I think, is why.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, that's not even me. Like, even my thoughts, you know, you have those conversations with yourself in your head, and like, that's not even me. I'm the person watching that happen, and watching being like in your mind. And it's just really interesting to go through all of that and really do all the inner work in the mind, because so much of it is internal, and emotions are internal. You know, of course you can cry, or if I get mad, like I will turn red, like I'll get splotchy, and like, so my body gives away my emotions sometimes, but emotions are very much internal. And so it is a very important process that you have to learn to go through, because otherwise you're just going to get stuck in the past and in the future, you know, having anxiety about something or depression about something that had in the past. And then you're stuck everywhere, when you just need to be in the moment, here and now, processing through the emotions, crying, screaming, laughing if it's a positive, happy thing, like just in the moment, just do it. And it's so interesting how people just they don't. And I look back and when I didn't do it, I was a stuffer. Anyone else out there a stuffer? Like, you just stuff your emotions down and you're like, oh, I can't, you know, I can't, I can't feel that right now.
That was the program that I picked up, right? Because it wasn't okay to share my emotions. I was always told I was too emotional or too sensitive as a kid from certain people. So for me, that's why I stepped down, like, oh, it's not okay to share these things. Not everybody feels this way. I just need to keep them on DL, do some writing, some drawing.
And isn't that sad? Like someone else saying, well, this is how it is. But it's not. That's just their programming or what they think should be. And then it programs into you, and then you take that on, and then hopefully later on you evolve and develop these things and realize, like, okay, that's just a program. That's not serving me. I can change this. And that may be one of the hardest things to do, is to realize I can change this. I don't have to keep living the same way forever.
I think it's a two-sided coin. It's the hardest thing to do, but it's also the most empowering thing to do.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because once you decide that you can do that and that you do have the power to do it, it literally will change everything in your life. So do you guys know what we're talking about when Morgan and I both were talking about you are the observer of your thoughts? Have you ever heard that? Like, that you are not your emotions?
That'll trip you up a little bit. If it's new to you, it'll trip you up.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard that. Yeah, but it's important as far as emotions go, and when I said this earlier when I was talking about it, but when I said anger is almost always a secondary emotion. Meaning that someone probably really hurt your feelings, like right before, like manifestation. Not exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, okay, so when we're saying you're the observer of your thoughts, think about how when you talk to yourself in your head, you hear a voice, right? But what we mean by that is, who's hearing the voice?
Yeah.
A lot of people associate themselves with their voice in their head, right? That's them. But then you have to ask yourself, who is listening to the me in my head then?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that kind of get down? I don't know if that sounded really
It's hard to describe that, because it's so because we don't naturally think like that. You're like, well, that doesn't make sense. So like in your head, if you're like quiet and just in your head, just say hello over and over again. Like, who's listening to that? And it's not your body, not your brain, but who's listening to you?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's all internal.
Now?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
If you don't, it's okay. We can keep talking.
We just want to make sure you're kind of on the same page and kind of understand what we're saying.
Yeah.
And that's okay if you don't. So
yeah.
I just want to clear that up. But what I was saying about anger being a secondary emotion, how, usually it starts with being hurt or sad or whatever.
Yeah.
Think of it like emotions can be like an iceberg, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, and by sometimes I mean probably at least 95% of the time,
Yeah.
we see anger sticking up out of the water and we're like, oh God, that person's so angry. They're being so rude and all these things.
You're like, that
But
guy's
the
a
truth
jerk.
is, yeah, but the truth is that's the tip of the iceberg. You don't see what's below the surface,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually hurt, disappointment, shame, guilt, like whatever's down there for that person.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds so cliche, but the angry people, the ones who are out there spewing that, are the ones that are hurting the most. And that's why I truly believe, and I've said on here before about, I don't say killing them with kindness, like it's like I don't want to kill people, but like showering them with kindness, like with love, because they're so hurt, they don't even know how to express it other than anger. And the
Yeah.
reason a lot of times people do that is because they want you to feel as crappy as they are feeling. So then, because as humans, we
Yeah.
like to, what's the word? My mind's going blank.
Like project things on other
Not
people.
project. Like when we come together, my mind is going blank. I feel like it starts with a C, but it's like escaping me right now.
When we come together.
Connect.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Why do I do that? Okay, so we're always looking for connection. That's the word I
Yeah.
was looking for. I don't know why that was so hard to figure out.
That's funny.
And when we do that with humans, think about it. When you meet a stranger, right, for the first time, and you're small talking or whatever, when they are telling you their story, 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10, you're looking for a connection that you can make with them. So they may mention a movie, like they're talking about all the stuff you have no idea about. And then as soon as they say this movie, you're like, boom, I've
Like,
seen that
oh my
movie.
God, yeah, yeah.
And then you start talking about it because you're building rapport, you're building that connection with that person. So that's a good way to do it, right? But people
Yeah.
also use that for the quote unquote negative side of things. So when somebody feels really bad or sad or mad, they're projecting onto you, but it's because they want you to feel what they feel so that you guys can relate so then they can talk about it.
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah, so a lot of time that's why I spread the kindness, right? And I ask questions because sometimes people don't ask the questions why they're feeling certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the time if someone, say, projects on me, because I don't want to say attacks because it's really just projecting. They're not meaning
Right.
to do it, it's just happening. If they project anger on me, right? Most people, out of reaction or defensiveness, would lash back out at that person. That obviously doesn't work because then you're not going anywhere. So
Right.
instead, I ask questions like, oh, I understand that you're upset or whatever. Like, why do you feel this way? And the reason I'm asking that is because I'm trying to provoke questions that maybe they don't even know to think or to ask themselves to discover
Mm-hmm.
where this is really coming from. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because in a way, it's helping them kind of rewire their brain a little bit. Because if they're
Yeah.
not around those type of people, then they just have
They're
these
living in my
feelings and they're just angry, and people are saying, "Oh, just be happy and be positive, or don't be so
yeah,
mad, or don't be a dick, or whatever." They're not helping.
asking the
So
questions.
when you have people start asking you questions, you have to then yourself ask
Stop.
yourself those
That,
questions, and
exactly.
then realize maybe you don't have the answer, but then you're like, well, I want to get the answer. So you start digging around in your mind a little bit. And that's kind of how it started for me. Just people asking me questions. And then I realized I didn't have an answer other than, oh, well, it just because, I guess.
Yeah.
And just because one person started doing that with me, it's like a little switch went on in my brain, and it
Yeah.
just progressed further and further. And I started to learn to ask questions and get to the root. And um, I'm continuing to do that. And it's the most powerful tool
Yeah.
to be able to understand your emotions, ask yourself about those emotions, and get to the root of it. Because emotions, like we talked about last week, they get trapped in your body and can cause all sorts of
Illness,
havoc and, yeah,
disease,
illness.
chronic
And
pain,
then
so many things.
it's crazy because we are energetic beings. We see the physical part. Like we live in the 3D world. It's very physical. That's pretty much what most people focus on, but we are mostly energy. Like if you look into quantum physics with
I love
what makes up an atom,
Yeah.
Or
And all the
yeah,
space that's between everything.
all this space. Isn't it
Even
like
us. We look
point?
solid, but really not.
Yeah, it's like 0.00001% like physical, and the rest is energetic.
It's vibrating very quickly.
I mean, so just
And
think
on
about
top
that.
of that, I want to segue on that real quick.
Yeah.
There is a movie, yeah, it's a movie that you guys should watch that talks about all the stuff we're talking about, and it's called What the Bleep Do, is it We Know or I Know? What the Bleep Do We Know?
It's
What
like
the
a
bleep?
documentary or like a movie.
It's a movie. It's either What the Bleep Do I Know or What the Bleep Do We Know? And it's talking
Okay.
about all of these things. And it's really good. So if you guys have never watched that, I
Yeah.
think it might be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there. So,
Okay.
oh yeah, Lorraine said we. So
We,
yeah, What the
okay.
Bleep Is. You guys should check it out. And it's talking about all these things she was just talking about with quantum physics and
Quantum
stuff like
physics.
that.
And I'm not a quantum physicist, but like the very basics of it I get. And yeah, it just blows my mind that we're just in this physical world, but it's such a minute percentage of what actually is real. We are more space than physical. And that's
Kind of mind blowing.
it's just weird. It's just weird to think about.
Yeah.
Gosh. And let's see. Oh, Lorraine says Marlee Matlin is the actress in there. Okay.
Oh, I don't, maybe.
Marlee.
I don't,
the name's familiar. I'm sure if I saw the face, I would know.
I think we had a lot of comments too. If you want to scroll back up, I'll answer her one she said right before that. Well,
okay.
It's not an answer because it wasn't a question.
Yeah.
She said Ashton sounds like my EFT professor. Yes. So I do a lot of work with EFT, and I'm an NLP practitioner, and that's what we learn. So when actually I wanted to talk about that earlier when you were talking about when you get mad, how your face gets red. So one of the things we learn is NLP practitioners, which is neuro-linguistic programming, is when we're working with the client, we look for those cues. Sensory acuity, noticing when the shifts are happening physically on their body. Like, and it could be the most subtle thing, like they could curl their lip up, their lip could get full, their eyes could just close a little bit. Like, it's really crazy. Some people's face gets more flushed, like, to really know when in their brain they make a switch, and that's when you can go in and change things. So
I know.
That's what I do. If those of you who are watching didn't know.
Yeah.
I work with people like that because I can sense by watching them with sensory acuity when they're making that flip in their head, and then we flip whatever they were thinking, like when we would put traumas or fears or phobias and whatever. So, okay.
That's so cool. Okay, let's see. So Stephanie says, yes, it definitely has a correlation with how the brain has been wired by exposure. And she also says, Ashton, you blew my mind when I last heard your talk about how the emotions get kinked up in your body. Yep, that's a real thing. And the emotion code is a good book for that. I've read through it, where emotions literally get trapped in different parts of your body and can cause specific things. And when you clear them, a lot of times, poof, they're gone because you cleared the root cause.
Yeah, and I think the reason I can't remember his name, like I always forget this one guy's name. We talk about him all the time. Greg, starts with a B is his last name. I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Oh, gosh,
but he's an epigeneticist, right? Or whatever, however you say it. He studies epigenetics. And that's what he talks about, is how the reason you want to heal those things is because if not, the repetitive thought patterns that you have in your head. And when you have certain thought patterns, that's what activates, yes, Brayden, that's him talking. Man, she knows who I'm talking about. I love this. You should be on every time.
I know. Every Wednesday.
Yeah, so that's who I'm talking about. But he's talking about how certain thought patterns turn off and on certain markers in the DNA that can trigger certain diseases and illnesses that would not otherwise be there if you were to change the thought pattern. And that's how, honestly, I believe that's how it works when I'm working with people, because I've had people who've had illnesses and pains and all sorts of stuff disappear when we address the root cause and we change that thought pattern and replace it with something else. And it's crazy. I know it sounds like magic or voodoo or whatever, but it's not. We're literally rewiring the brain.
Yeah.
And the body is responding accordingly.
Yeah. And then what is magic even? Magic could be that. Who says magic isn't real? Maybe that's a form of magic. I don't know. Let's see. Lorraine says, I live alone. I talk to myself on the daily. Have some of the best conversations. Yes. I mean, truly, those are some amazing conversations. I do. You think of something, you're like,
I
oh,
tell myself
I'm
jokes
so
sometimes.
hilarious. I'm the best person ever.
I also wanted to be a stand-up comedian when I was younger, so
Oh,
I would
really?
have lines with me or like how I say certain jokes or certain things. Like I do that with myself. That's fine.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. I love us.
I also talk things out with myself, and when I say, here's the thing why sometimes it's important to say those things out loud. For me, anyway. I mean, it might not be the same for you, but when I have a thought and I'm just having that conversation right in my head, but I'm not expressing out loud, or you know where those things can go. They can go down a rabbit hole of
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the YouTube of thoughts, but
Oh,
it's in our
yeah.
head. Like
Yeah. And it
so
happens
the
so
reason
much
it's
faster.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason it's important to have those things out loud, those conversations, because for me, if I have those things in those thoughts, right, going on in my head, and it kind of sounds stupid, but then part of me kind of believes it, I'll say it out loud. And then when I say it out loud, and it's in the physical now, right? It's out of my head and it's in the physical, it's in the 3D, and I feel it. And if it doesn't feel good, I change it right then. Just by saying it out loud, though, sometimes I can hear myself and I'm like, I don't really believe that. That sounds really stupid now that I've said that out loud and heard myself say that.
Yeah.
And then I change it.
Yeah.
So. That's just for me. It might not work for everybody, but you might try it and see how it works for you.
Yeah. I could see how that would work. I don't know that I do that a ton. But I know like if I'm starting to get like negative thoughts in my head or like trying to be too hard on myself, sometimes I'll say out loud, I'm like, that's not the truth about you. Like,
Yep,
stop saying those things.
I
That's
do
not
that.
true. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like kind of
Which every
shaking you
time you
out of your
do that,
head a little bit.
well, every time you do that, you're also breaking that thought pattern. And that's important because that's how you, when we talked on here before about like neural pathways and stuff like that, like creating new ones and getting rid of the old ones, like every time you're interrupting it, you're creating that other new one, right? And you're going to start using that one more and more
Yeah,
till eventually you don't even go to that one as default anymore.
that's good. And that's a good place to be. You're like
Yep.
reprogramming yourself. Lorraine has a good comment here. The scary thing is to have a thought and then see an article or ad to what you're just thinking about. Now that gets into conspiracyville for
This is
Morgan.
all like Morgan's forte. Like she'll tell you all about this stuff. It's
I don't
awesome.
not all about it, but that happened and you hear that so often. So it
Yeah.
intrigues me because it's like did it pop into our mind because we knew it was coming, or is something really reading our thoughts and putting it
I
in front of us?
my belief on that is as humans we're very what's the word I want to use? Not repetitive. We like consistency.
Yeah.
What is the word I'm looking for? That's not what I'm it's not the right word I want to use. Um, patterns, right? We look for patterns in things.
Hmm.
So the thing is, now with AI the way it is, and we're online all the time, like whether it's on Google or on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, we're creating essentially an energetic, and I say energetic because it's in the interwebs,
Oh my God, I think I know
paper
where you're
trail.
going with this.
Yeah, we're creating an energetic paper trail. And what happens is the AI studies that and it sees it's not necessarily a thought, it's not seeing our thought patterns, but it is because it's seeing how we interact with certain things, how long we stay on certain things, what we're looking at, you know what I'm saying? So it starts building like a file for us specifically. So
It's
it is kind of like reading our mind because it's so intelligent. That's what AI is. It's catching on to the patterns that we as humans live because for the most part, we don't always go out of those patterns, right? We like to be comfortable,
right.
repetitive. So you'll start seeing stuff like that. That's my belief on it.
That's tripping me up a little
Observe.
bit because, okay, so you know how, here we go, just my brain thinking. So you know
Yeah.
how there's every person in the world that knows you, you're a different version of you to them. Like in your mind, you're this one way, but to someone else, you're a different way. Well,
There's
like
example of that.
what if to like AI or all these things that we're connected to, there's that version of, there's like an energetic copy of us, an energetic version of us, because that's how the AI mind sees us.
Well, we are in the Matrix, right?
I know, but
So it may.
that just weirded me out a little bit. I'm like, there's some sort
I
of
wasn't trying to weird you out. I was
no,
just
like in a
saying that's
good
my
way.
opinion, my
It's just another
perspectives.
rabbit hole. We're all mad down here, so it's fine. But yeah,
Everyone's a little mad.
that's that's crazy. Like there's some digital version of us according to our habits, because we're connected with
Yes.
these ever more advancing AI technologies out there.
Think really though. I mean, it makes sense if you really just stop for a second and think through your typical day, how much technology or whatever are you actually interacting with, whatever you're doing, and
Yeah.
then look at it that way and know that there is something that's collecting all of that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like if you're online now, I mean, you can't escape it basically unless you're completely 100% off grid. And even then, if you've been on anything before, like you can't totally erase it. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a little
And that's
bit weird.
and when you're using certain apps, like that's why no one reads the fine print, right? They just say I agree. But if you were actually to go read that stuff, a lot of those do tell you they're collecting data on you.
Oh yeah,
Like
they do.
yeah, like how you're doing things, why you're doing things, like whatever.
Yeah.
They
So I
straight
don't
up
have
tell you.
Alexa or a smart TV. My phone is bad enough. I know my phone like tracks every single thing. I'm like, I don't need a smart house where it knows the temperature that I like and when I
Yeah.
go into the bathroom and what I eat for, like, I don't need all of that. Although I'm sure eventually we'll get to that point.
It's a fine line too, though, right? Because that means, I mean, with everything being technology, there are hackers or whatever out there that
Yes.
if they wanted to, they could affect those things.
I
So it's a
know.
fine line of being balanced because I'm not saying don't use those things, but don't be so heavily dependent on them that if the
Right.
grid was to go out, you probably wouldn't make it. I'm just
Right.
like, if what's that show that everybody watched, the zombies?
What, Walking Dead?
Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Like,
You're just,
don't be
yeah.
one of those people that don't make it because they're getting chased by zombies or whatever.
Yeah.
But zombies would be like people who would live in the Stone Age because they don't know what to do if technology doesn't exist
Right.
or
They couldn't make a
families.
fire or like go
Yeah.
fishing to survive or grow their own
Yeah, so I'm
food
not
or
saying
something.
don't use technology
Oh
by
no, I'm
any
not
means.
either.
I'm
I
just saying
love
have
it.
a balance of the two.
Yeah,
So
I love it. It allows us to do this and to connect with
exactly.
people all over the world and to share our thoughts and create change. I kind of like to think of it as I think this gets a little conspiracy, but that's what I do. I think it was kind of created to kind of dumb us down and get us to focus on like just like dumb things like cat videos, which I watch and they're hilarious. But we're kind of hacking it a little bit and we're using it to create conversations and different movements with all these
Yeah.
different things. It's connecting us more powerfully
Than
than
ever before.
than we could without it. I mean,
Yeah.
because we can in an instant we can put something out there, someone sees it and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Because we all know the news doesn't report like what's actually going on. Like I actually get my news from social media from certain people and certain websites because I'm going to get what's actually going on and things that actually matter. And so that's how I use it. And it's
Yeah.
very valuable to me. But yeah, if we were to go dark, like I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna know things. I'll hop in my bus and like go and drive around and my solar power and stuff. But it's interesting to live in this time where we love the technology and we're grateful for it, but we're also wanting to disconnect from it from time to time before it consumes everything, because it is not everything. The things that actually matter are the relationships. Even if you created those relationships online, you still have that energetic connection that transcends time and space and technology. So it's really you and your connections with actual people that are
I
making a
think it's
huge
having a balance
impact.
with that too. Like, don't be so heavily dependent that all you have are online friends.
Right.
Like, you need, as humans, we crave human connection, human
Mm-hmm.
touch, like being around other people, just energetically, right? We're energetic beings.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be so heavily on one or the other. Kind of find balance between the two.
Absolutely. It's
And the
always
reason that's
about
important is
balance.
because so many people, and you see this all the time, especially the younger kids, and I get worried like how that's going to affect them. But there's so much comparing
Yeah.
online worlds to their real life world.
Oh yeah.
Because anybody can take a picture and
Oh,
do
you
a
can
filter.
Photoshop the shit out of your life.
Yeah. And like my world is all rainbows over here, guys. I'm on my
Yeah.
private jet on the beach, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. The truth is, and this is my truth, so let me clarify that. My truth is, I believe the people that just push that out there the most, it's not real.
Oh,
It's a
it's not.
mirage, it's smoke and mirrors. I'm not saying they're not having some of that experience, but you're not seeing the behind the scenes, the other stuff, the real shit that's going on, like
Yeah.
the
There's a
raw.
mask. There's a mask to some extent.
Yes, because do you like I know I share on here like the everything, the sad, the angry,
Yeah.
the happy, like
Yeah.
the curious, like all of those things, but a lot of people do not use social media that way. It's always like good stuff. And I'm not saying that's not good that they're posting good things as long as it's inspirational, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to also remember that anyone else scrolling through that feed is comparing themselves by default when they see
Yeah.
that somebody else, like they don't even mean to, right? But they're doing it subconsciously, and that's why
Yeah.
it's important to share your truth, all sides of it,
Yes.
because somebody subconsciously is comparing themselves to you. And that's also why I believe that when someone shares a real story, a raw story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I've shared stuff that's happened to me when I was a kid, like stuff like that, the connections that I make with people off of that is incredible
Yeah.
because
Because you're real.
that's real. And
Mm-hmm.
they connect with that. People that have been through similar situations are like, oh my God, somebody else has been through it. I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. It's that connection we were looking for. So
Yes.
I don't know where I was going with that, but sorry. That's where I was
No,
going.
don't be sorry. Stop saying that. No, that was good because there's just, like you said, and I've done it before too. There's people that I'm like, oh my God, they're so awesome. I wish I was like them. Like I'm just not, I'll never be as good as them. And then you find out, you're like, oh, they're just a real person too, or they do
Yeah.
this. And then you realize I'm me and that's okay. And the more that I
Yeah.
can be me, sharing the good, bad, and the ugly, the more I can free people from that prison they think of, that comparison prison, free for them
Yeah.
to be themselves and to be vulnerable because there is a lot of fakeness out there. There's a lot of masks being worn and people just thinking you have to be positive all the time and like focus on this. And if you don't,
Yeah.
if you don't have a nice car, you're not worthy or you're not good enough, or if you don't make this much money, or if you don't believe this or that, like all this other bullshit that's just, it's just stuff. When you just let go of all of that and just be you and be real and raw, authentic, it's so powerful for everybody because you create this ripple effect. I don't want to say pave the way necessarily, but in a way you do. You're just saying, hey, it's okay to be you. It's okay to not be, it's okay to have a shitty day. It's
Yeah.
okay for you to have a shitty year or a shitty couple. Like it doesn't matter. Like just be you and be real, and you're going to meet amazing people and make that genuine connection through some of those vulnerabilities and some of those sad stories. And that's really powerful.
I would like to say something on that too, though. What we're not saying is don't go on there also and just share negative stuff either.
Right. Yeah, don't be
With
like not
everything.
whining, like complaining, whining type stuff.
So what I think of when I think of that is don't don't put yourself in victim mode either, because a lot of people get stuff off of that. And that's not the place to be either. It's a balance.
Mm-mm.
Life and everything is a balance. It's a spectrum. It's not one or the other. It's finding a balance between the two because I know people in the world, obviously, that are like that.
Yeah.
And what happens is they create cycles and then of those things with themselves, and then that's how people see them. And then it's like the same endorphins I believe that like when you're happy they set off. Um, if someone's in victimhood and they get sympathy, I think they're getting that same response in a way, like
They're getting
inside.
attention. Attention.
Yeah, like it's like a toddler, right? A toddler is going to get attention one way or the other, good or bad. All they want is attention. They don't care if you're yelling at them. They're still getting their attention.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing because we're all just grown-up toddlers.
Yeah.
That's all we are.
Or just
Like,
grown up toddlers.
we're toddlers. That's what we are. We're
Yeah.
all inner children walking around, and we look like adults, But for the most part, a lot of people haven't done a lot of healing inside, right?
Yeah.
So we're all still going through that. So I just wanted to clarify. Don't be one or the other. Find the
Oh
balance
yeah.
in between.
Yeah. Just be real, because life is full of I don't want
Ups
to
and
say good and
downs.
bad, ups and
Yeah.
downs, and it's okay
Highs and
to share
lows.
those. But yeah, you don't want to get stuck in victim mode. You don't want to get stuck in only posting like positive things like life's perfect, because that's not there.
Because that's
Life,
also setting up an unattainable expectation, right?
yes,
Because
those
then
are the
people are doing the same
worst.
thing.
Those are the
They're still
worst.
viewing your stuff and they're like, oh, well, I don't think that way. What's wrong with me? Why do I not think positive all the time? The truth is, nobody thinks positive 100% of the time. And I
Yeah.
don't care if you're posting on there like you're positive 100% of the time, because the truth is, you're not. You might be making a facade that you are, but you're human just like anybody else, and you're going to have
Yeah.
those negative thoughts. You're going to have those sad thoughts. Like, I have them all the time, and I can move through them like that, but
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that I don't ever have them. Like, that's not realistic at all.
Yeah.
And I think it's important when, like she's talking about being yourself, it's just being real. It's being authentic.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it other than that.
I know. And I wonder where the where did all this originate? Like that emotions are, I don't know, like a weakness. I'm trying to figure out like where these things, like, does it start? I think a lot of it starts in childhood, but how far back does it go where, we're just not good enough, and we start picking up on these programs like don't feel sad, and don't, or
Remember
that's,
what we've talked about too, though, a lot of that can be generational stuff, not just your stuff. It could have happened centuries ago and you're still picking up on it and being that way until
all
that's
that
healed.
generational stuff. Yeah. Mm.
I think we had some comments. Do you want to go back up and read them? You want me to?
Let's see. I can. Let's see.
Okay.
Da, da, da.
Probably easier for you to see them than me because it's further away from me.
Yeah, I'm sitting right here in front of my phone. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Lorraine says, no, you'd be surprised. My cousin retired now. His last project at Boeing, he was designing pilot thought-based controls for jets. That doesn't surprise me. I know that the military and the government, they have patents on different frequencies to hack the mind. So yeah, that's interesting. And she's Lorraine says, Patterns and Chaos. What movie was that from? Let's see. That is the exact core of an algorithm. Let's see.
Oh, well, when we were talking about like learning your
Oh yeah.
you interact, things you look for, how long you stay on things.
That's true. And then she says, I like to entertain and educate with my page, No Dirty Laundry on Facebook, unless I need prayers. And yeah, I think that's good. That's pretty much what I do. I post funny things, and I post educational stuff. I post some edgy, somewhat controversial stuff, but I'm never just talking crap about somebody or calling somebody out. It's just, here's what I think. Think about this. I do a lot of question of the day just to get conversations going. So that's how I use social media, and I find a lot of value and fun in that. And then this too. This is great.
That's how I use it also.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't talk about, obviously I share my stories and stuff like that a lot with people, but I also am coming from an empowering place, right? I don't share a story if it's not an empowering story that I haven't worked through.
Yeah.
Because then I'm not doing anybody service, really, just moping and asking for sympathy. No, it's like stuff I already went through. I don't need sympathy. I'm just sharing so I can share the message or the lessons that I learned from it, because it might help somebody else.
Yeah. Let's see. Lorraine says, aliens deliver first earthling baby. Read it here first. I love alien stuff.
I told you, somebody last week said they're waiting for the alien stuff.
I know. I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, because there's a lot to it, and so I would definitely need notes for that. Because
that's fine. You're allowed to do whatever you want to do.
I need to for a couple weeks, maybe not next week, but the week after, when I choose again, maybe we'll do aliens, and I can start taking notes on different things, because it fascinates me to no end. It's crazy how obsessed I am with it. Let's see. And Darcy says, I'm so late. Oh, it's okay. Oh, I called you out.
You're here when you're
it's
supposed
perfect.
to be.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
So we also, I think it was one of the very first, I want to say 1, 2, or 3, I don't remember which episode of the Awaken Vlogcast, when we were talking about emotions too. Another really good thing for you guys to look up would be the emotional guidance scale I talked about before.
Oh, is that where you did like the colors? It was like the
Yeah,
colors
when I
thing.
had the spiral,
Yeah.
I think it would be really beneficial for you guys to look that up. Because when we're talking about moving through emotions,
Yeah.
if you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. It's a really good episode. But I'll go through it again real quick.
Yeah.
Basically, when we're having emotions, I'm not asking you to go through emotion. I'm not asking you to feel sadness. Oh, I'm so sad. And then jumping to, oh my God, I'm so excited, because that's not
Hmm.
realistic either.
Right.
And if you look up this emotional scale that I'm talking about, by Abraham Hicks, I think is who it, Abraham Hicks. Yes.
Hmm.
Google it, it'll pull it up. But what it does is it shows you the next step up, right?
Yeah.
So I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know like depression or whatever is like on the very bottom. So like what would the next step up from depression be? Okay, it's grief. So it's just it helps you move up kind of like rungs on a ladder,
Yeah.
like the next emotion, the
Yeah.
next, and then you take baby steps. And when you take those baby steps, and you can switch them
Yeah.
pretty easy because they're not too
Like a 12-step program almost. There's like,
yeah,
the
except there's way more than 12.
stages of, oh yeah. There's like a
Yeah.
lot more.
But what I'm saying is it just makes it easier to move through certain emotions and to get to that other goal emotion quicker than you think, because you're like, oh, there's so many, but you can actually go through them so quickly once you have a chart like that to pull up and like, okay, what am I feeling now? Anger? Okay, what's the next one above anger? Disappointment? Oh, I can be disappointed. Okay, I'm not angry. I'm actually disappointed they're acting this way towards me. Okay, and then what's the next one? Sadness. Well, I'm not disappointed. I'm sad that they're acting this way. Why am I sad? Okay, this is why. Okay, what's the next one up? And then you just go step by step, and then before you know it, you're at happy.
Yeah.
So you guys should check it out. It's really good.
Yeah. I need to. I have so many books on my list. It's like I wish I could like read them all instantly, but I'm not an AI. I'm a human with my
Well,
human
and you're
brain.
supposed to receive that knowledge when you're supposed to receive that knowledge.
You're always good at reminding me of that because I tend to get hard on myself. Like, oh, like I should read more, have more time. And I have all these books on my list. I can't read them all. But you're exactly right. Like when the timing's right, it will be right. And so I'm learning to let go of that and just like go with the flow. Otherwise, I'm going to get anxious and like make myself feel bad for it. And,
I'm
that
not
doesn't lead
saying,
anywhere good.
yeah, and I'm not saying when I'm telling her, divine timing, all that, I'm not saying don't do anything. She still needs to be intentional with
Oh, yeah.
picking up a book,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We're not saying, well, don't pick up any books and just, if you read them, whatever you read them,
Just
like,
just sit on the
just still
couch
take
and do
steps.
nothing and like, that there is a there is a certain amount of action you have to take as an individual. And that's
Yes.
why when people say, like, God's in control or universe is in control, it's like,
Mhm. But we also have
yes,
free
but you can't just sit on your ass and do nothing.
and
Like it's a team effort. Like it's a team effort.
yes.
And
Like
it's not just up to God. He's not just gonna like he
you
or
got to put in
she
the work.
yeah, isn't gonna just like poof, here you go. Like you have to go through the mud and the muck and the experience and like
No
get
load
down
or
and
no,
dirty with it.
no lotus, right? That's one of my favorite sayings, because if there was no mud, there would be no lotus. You have to go through it. There's
Hmm.
no rain, there'd be no rainbows, like things like that. If there was no rain, there would be no greenery anywhere around us, right? Like we wouldn't have a
Yep.
green earth.
Yep.
But what I was gonna say is kind of in hand with that, when you're talking about you have to do the work. It's like when we've talked on here, I think a little bit about manifestation and stuff like that and vision
Hmm.
boards.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that. We're not saying just put a board up and put pictures and be like, okay, I'm gonna get this thing. Like
Yeah.
that's not how it works.
Yeah.
It cannot just
It's
fall.
not a wish
It can't.
list. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but not.
It is. Yeah. It's not like Santa Claus is gonna like come down the chimney and like, here's your
Exactly.
house or car.
You still gotta take a step, an action, just one at a time to receiving that. What's
Yeah.
one thing, like say it's a new car. Okay, you have a car on your vision board. Okay, we're not gonna go tonight, go to the dealership, pick up a new car and drive away with it. Maybe you will. I don't know. Most people wouldn't.
Right.
So it's like you ask yourself the questions, like we talked about at the beginning. Ask yourself a question. Okay, I really want this car. Why do I want this car? Help me get to point A from point B and I'll be safe and blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Okay, well, what's one small step I could take today to get me one step closer to getting that car?
Hmm.
That's what I mean. And then just
Yep.
doing that thing. Do that thing. Okay, then what's the next thing? And when we talked about The Secret, right? For
Hmm.
those of you who have seen that or read the book, And we've also talked about Abraham Hicks, about you have to be a vibrational match with that which you're wanting to attract. So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
about wishing you have that car. It's one, acting as if you already have it, and doing the steps necessary to get it, and being in alignment with that vibration to receive that into your life.
Yep.
You have to, that's why you have to clean the stuff up too, that might be holding you back as blockages, because you don't know what else that's trickling over to in your life as far as abundance and manifestation, like what it could actually be blocking from you subconsciously that you're not even aware of
Oh,
in
yeah.
your life, in any area.
Yeah. And you get all tangled up in there, like different emotions and things, and then it's just a big mess. You got to work through the mess. Got to.
Let me go back up real quick.
Okay.
Lorraine said, explain the different races would be cool. That would be nice.
I've always wondered. Yeah, that's, yeah.
She also says, I was abducted from the time I was 7 until I was 31.
Oh my
Wow.
God. Like, I don't
Lorraine,
I don't know if that's like, if it was, like, because you
question
hear
for
about
you.
things like
If you're-
it's good or it's positive or negative, but I'm fascinated by that comment.
I think it just depends. And
Yeah.
it depends on the species. I mean, there's not all aliens are the same, right? Just
Right.
like all humans.
There's like humans, yeah. Yeah.
Species. Lorraine, if you're still on, you probably know about this because you're pretty knowledgeable. So you know who Dolores Cannon is? Do you know who that is? Have you heard of the quantum healing? Oh my gosh, it's either QHHT or QHTH, quantum healing, something hypnosis. Why can I not remember the other? It's like QHTH. Do you know what I'm talking about when I talk about that? I feel like you're pretty knowledgeable, so you might. I'm just curious if you've ever had a session like that.
Yeah.
And then Darcy said, download to our brain. So true, Ashton, when the time is right. Then she said, yes, Morgan, let's not make ourselves feel bad, but keep making progress.
Yeah.
Lorraine said, listen to her a lot. Okay, so do you know what I'm talking about, Lorraine, when I'm talking about the
I do not and have not.
You should totally look into that, because I think that would be right up your alley. I know that she's passed now, but the time when Dolores was canon, and this is the book I would let you borrow.
Yeah, yeah, I remember reading it.
Waves and Volunteers.
Yep.
The 600-page book. Okay.
Yep.
So that's what I'm talking about. Dolores Cannon wrote that.
Mm-hmm.
So Dolores Cannon, before she passed, she did train other practitioners to do this quantum healing. I cannot remember the hypnosis technique.
So I can find it.
Yeah, look up Dolores Cannon and put QHTH and see what comes up, because I can't remember what the T stands for.
Okay.
But she takes people back. Like, so if you ever wanted to explore that as far as like the abductions or anything like that, you should totally check her out. She could take people back to past lives. She was really good at what she did.
Let's see. QHHT.
QHHT.
Quantum.
Okay,
let's see. Oh, hang on.
Quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Quantum healing.
I just had it backwards.
Technique.
Okay. Yeah. That's what it is. Quantum healing hypnosis technique. I knew I was close. I was
You're like, it's right there.
But the way I was saying it didn't make sense, so I just had them flipped.
Yeah.
Yes. So you should totally look that up. But a lot of times she can take people back in regression, and it could be things like that. It could be past lives. And when I talk about past lives, I'm not talking about just as a human, right? She can take you back to other past lives on other planets or whatever. And if you don't believe that, that's cool.
It's a fascinating book.
It's real. And there's so many studies, and even when she was alive, all the sessions she did with people, you can go listen. I think there's some on YouTube even that you can go listen to, like some of the sessions she had with people. It's the coolest thing ever. You should totally check it out. So if you're interested in going down that rabbit hole, if not, that's okay.
That's a rabbit hole. That's a deep rabbit hole.
But she has a really good book that I was saying Morgan borrowed from me. It's a long book. It's like 500 to 600 pages, but it's one of those books like you don't put it down because you just want to keep reading, and you get through it rather quickly for a pretty thick book.
Yeah.
But it's called The 3 Waves of Volunteers by Dolores Cannon. You guys should check it out.
It's fascinating.
It'll blow your mind, but it talks about the waves, the different generations, the different age groups that came in on the planet to raise the vibration, to raise human consciousness together, and then like where you were on that wave, like what wave you were. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. It was fascinating. God, there's so much out there. I kind of want to read it again because that was over a year ago. Yeah, 3 Waves of Volunteers.
3 Waves of Volunteers. Yep, that's the book I'm talking about. She has other books, but she has a lot of great ones, but like If
Is
you're
that one of
into
your
this
faves?
stuff, yes, you need to
Yeah.
look that book up.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
Man. You should go get training for that. That would be cool.
That would be cool. I did think about that before, but I
You should.
haven't. Maybe that's my next tool I learned.
That's your next tool.
I'm always collecting tools so I can help people. Maybe that's the next
That's
one.
right. Just add it to your little toolbox.
It would probably tie in really good with NLP, so.
I know. Oh my gosh, you need to do it. You need to do it. I'm requesting that. I'm officially requesting that. Sometime, if it feels right, that would be awesome.
When it's time.
When it's time, yeah.
That'd be cool. I don't know if it's on Audible. It might be. You might just
I
check
don't know.
it
Let
out.
me look. Let me see. That's Amazon, right? Audible, right? It's an Amazon
Yeah.
thing.
Amazon has everything on there, so it'll
I
take
know.
there's
Amazon. It's
Kindle.
one of those. There's a version of you on Amazon, like buying all this stuff.
Oh, sorry, Darcy. I said NLP, not NOP. So NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, so the language of your mind. I'm an NLP practitioner, so that's what I do. I go in and, well, one, when we're talking, I learn how your brain works, like what type of learner are you, how do you speak. What's the easy way to explain this to somebody? So, like, if you're ever around someone and they say, talking to you, pay attention to how they speak, right? They're like, oh, do you see what I'm saying? Do you get what I mean? Or well, whatever. When I'm saying see, like when they're saying, do you see what I'm saying? That means they're usually a visual learner, or that's their main lens they see the world through. They're a visual person. Or someone might say, hey, do you hear me? Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, how does that sound? Those kind of phrases. That person is an auditorial person. So that means, like, I'm one of those auditorials in mind. So that means I receive the world a lot through what I hear more so than what I see. Like, a lot of it's, I retain information from what I hear. Kinesthetic, that's my main one, is feeling, right? So one, I'm already empath, so that's one of my things that I work with. But when somebody would ask, do you know how that makes me feel or whatever, or they're just describing in a feeling sense, that means they're a kinesthetic person. That's their main sense, how they view the world or absorb the world around them, if that makes sense. I know it's kind of confusing, but I'm trying to like break it down to make it easily understandable. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's
yeah. No, that's a good basics of it. And the 3 waves, I do not see it on Audible. They have Kindle and paperback, but I don't see it on Audible. So.
Okay, there's your answer.
Yep.
Lorian said, Ashton, do you ever see the TV series Lie to Me? He used NLP to catch his criminals. No, I didn't. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I did see something about that though the other day, and I was like, dude, that's so cool because that totally makes sense. And the reason that he can use NLP is because, one, I'm already good at this anyway because being an empath, I can pick up when someone's lying to me like that. But I specifically, if I'm, what's up, Jeremy? Hey, cameo.
Get out of here. I'm just kidding.
But specifically, if I'm sitting across from someone, I can pick up when they're lying to me like that, and it's because I'm picking up on those sensory acuities that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like I can sense when something changes in their face, or whatever. Like I'm so good at picking out liars.
Yeah, or like
it's so easy. It's like don't even waste your time, kind of thing. But it totally makes sense. So that's what he was doing. He was picking up sensory acuity, noticing one thing you can do. Salesmen use this a lot. They don't realize that's what they're doing, but with NLP stuff, you do matching and mirroring. And that's how you know when you have a person that, say you're a car salesman, and you're trying to sell this person a car. And how you know when you got the hook and you got them is when you start testing the sensory, the mirror matching. And what I mean by that is you go to like, do this. And it's so crazy. You guys should just go, like when we were in training for NLP, one of the things they made us do was go to a restaurant and practice this matching and mirroring. And it's pretty
like with who, like people or like the waiter?
Oh yeah, with just random people. And just to see, it's crazy because they don't even realize they're doing it. It's all subconscious, right?
Yeah.
So you would do something, if you were at a restaurant, you'd pick up a glass and then take a drink, and then pay attention around you who picks up the glass at the same time. Have you ever done that when you're sitting there talking with somebody and they both have
Huh.
a glass of water and one
Yeah.
person's picked up a drink and then automatically the other person picks it up to drink?
I don't know
That's
if
the
I've ever paid
compassion.
attention to that. Now I'm
Pay
going
attention to it
to. Yeah.
because then you'll know when you built rapport with that person.
Huh.
So what I was saying about the car salesman, when they know that they got him and they've got the hook, and they could do something like this or something subtle, like whatever, and they'll touch and they'll watch for the potential customer to do the same thing. And when they get it, they know they're in, they trust them, and they go in for the kill. They buy
Going
kill
for the kill.
engine. Deal.
You're gonna buy this car.
How's that? But yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
Huh.
I'm telling you guys, NLP is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
It changed my life and it helps me change people's lives, but that's just a little tiny tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But there's so
Just
much
like a
stuff
little
about
nugget.
posture. Yeah, like posture, how someone's standing and they do certain things, like and matching and mirroring somebody. If they're turned a certain way, they want to leave the conversation. They're not engaged in it anymore.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that too. When you're standing around somebody and you're talking, right?
Yeah.
And then they could be facing you, but if you look at
Yeah.
their feet, and if they've got one foot kind of already facing away, that means they're done with, they're not really listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're already disengaged with the conversation. They're trying to look for the closest out so that when you're done, they can leave the conversation.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got rapport with them, though, they're going to start doing the things you do, so you can do certain things to see where you're at with them. Like I said, touch your ear, like whatever it is, to see if they do it.
Huh.
Pretty interesting.
I might have to test that out.
Yeah. It's
That's
really
so
cool. Just go to the
interesting.
restaurant, guys. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, that's crazy." Just go to a restaurant and try it out. But like, just
Yeah.
really pay attention to the subtle cues when you do something and look around you and just be an observer and notice who else does that.
Yeah.
Because you don't even realize sometimes when you're sitting in a restaurant full of other people, you're in your own little bubble, so you think. But the subconscious mind is always recording 100% of the time, never stops.
Yeah.
So even though like I'm looking at the camera now, right? Subconsciously in my peripherals, like all this stuff out here, my mind's still capturing all that information.
Yeah.
And when you're out in public, like when you're in the restaurant or whatever, you think you're just zoned in on this person that you're talking to, whatever, but your mind's still picking up on everything else around you.
Oh man.
That's what I said, that some people don't even realize that when you do something like with your glass or whatever,
Yeah.
then the person 2 tables away from you does it at the exact same time,
Hmm.
but nobody stops to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And you've actually got rapport with the person 2 tables down that you haven't said 2 words to.
Oh,
It's pretty awesome.
that is interesting. I wonder if that's why maybe some, and I know that it's a label, but like introverts, like if you're just around, like it becomes really overwhelming because if your subconscious is just taking all that in, like that could be a lot. Like if you're at a concert or like a place where there's a bunch of people, which is like me, like I like to go out, but like
You're taking in all
I have my
that
felt,
around
then
you.
that's a lot. So I'm sure my subconscious is like, whoa, that's like a shit ton of
And that can be
information
a
and
lot of
energy and
that can be a lot of different things. That person could also be an empath and not realize it, because that was my situation. You know, growing up, I didn't know what it was. And then when I figured it out and did things to protect myself and ground myself before doing those things, that doesn't bother me now.
Yeah.
So those are all important things too to take into consideration.
I have to practice that. I need to ground better. I can improve my grounding techniques.
Okay, but remember, one of the easiest ones to ground yourself is the breathing technique we did.
Yes, I know. I can barely do that at home sometimes. Like I'll notice like I don't breathe deeply. I will.
You do breathing?
And I'll do like short breaths just because.
Yeah.
But then when I focus on it, because I'm trying to be more intentional about it, like I'll just, like even now, you know, I just take a breath. But I do notice I get out of breath because I'm not breathing properly to ground myself. So
yeah,
it's
learning.
Just learning.
So breathing is one, and then we've talked about on here the 5 things I think I've talked about with you guys before, but and it's good for people who have anxiety, that are just generally anxious in general. But it's just also a good grounding technique, because that's all you're doing when you're anxious. You're re-grounding yourself so you don't feel anxious. But it's just looking around the room, naming 5 things that you can see, naming 5 things that you can hear, 5 things that you can smell, like whatever. 5 things you're grateful for. You're just redirecting your mind and you're bringing yourself present, which is what we was talking about earlier, to the now, just focusing right now where you're at.
Yeah. Breathe. See, even now I'm like holding my breath. Like, why am I doing that? That's so weird.
You wait for me to do a trick? I mean, I don't have anything for you this time. I'll come prepared next time.
It's funny. Okay, let's see. Make sure I didn't miss comments.
Well, she's going back to the comments. Have you guys, I mean, do you know what we're talking about? And everything we've covered so far, do you find yourself feeling any of these things, any of these emotions come up for you? And if so, what do you do to process them?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
process
interact.
them?
We
Just
like that.
curious.
We like to hear what you guys are doing. Darcy said, that was so good. Love that show, that Lie to Me show. Lorraine says, I applied Reiki to water today for a client and we did the tastes test. It was so cool. What is that? I haven't heard that.
So you can charge your water. It's
Yeah.
like remember I told you about the Dr. Emoto
Uh-huh.
where he did the water crystals? I think we did that on an episode on here too.
Yeah.
So she was doing that with the Reiki. Putting
Okay.
Reiki and showing the difference. I mean, you can do that with
And then
anybody.
it tastes different.
And anybody, just so we clarify, anybody can do this to a degree where you're at. So if you're watching this and you have a bottle of water, that doesn't have to be a bottle. I mean, it can be a glass of water, whatever.
Yeah.
Water specifically, though, you can take it and you can put your palms, just cover it, put it near your heart chakra, and then just focus on love. Okay, just focus on the feeling of love. What does it mean to be loved? What does it feel like in your body? What does that look like to you? And it can be different for everybody. When I picture it, I picture a bright white light, and it's just surrounding this whole area for me. It's warm, it's fuzzy. I feel it through my full body, right? And then take a drink of water. You're charging your water. When people are like when people pray, essentially that's what they're doing, right? They're
I remember. Yeah,
charging
we talked about
they're
this.
clearing it, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. And Lorraine says Audible does have some Dolores. Yeah, I saw a few on there.
Okay.
The 3 waves wasn't
It's
on
probably
there.
because it's so long. It would have been forever long about unless somebody did it on 3 times the speed and sound like a chipmunk just reading it really quick.
I guess you could do that. So yeah, Sally, that one's not on there, but yeah, she does have a few others.
Sometimes. The first time I read the book, I'll read it at normal pace so I can really comprehend it.
Yeah.
And then if I go re-listen to that book at any point, I will start speeding it up. And I don't even have to just like be stopping, just reading or listening to that book. Like I'll drive or whatever, and then I'll speed it up as I'm doing whatever, and I just keep listening to it over and over to drive that into my subconscious mind.
Yeah. That's a good technique.
Yeah.
Let's see. Darcy says, cool, say 5 things you see. Ryan says, yes, charging the water. And then when you charge tastes better. I want to test that out on my husband. I want to see.
You should do it with your kids too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'd be good too. Oh, I want to do that. And then Lorraine says, anyone catch Jake, is it Ducey? I hope that's his name. On YouTube. He's a great manifester. Ducey?
I've never heard of him, so I'll check him out.
That'd be cool. Lorraine's got some info. Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you started joining this because you're sharing stuff too. I've never heard of that guy, so I'll check him out.
Yeah.
I like learning things. Yeah. So that just means he is really in alignment. I mean, he is a vibrational match for that which he's attracting. That means he's probably done a lot of work to clean up the bullshit and all the low vibrational stuff and get rid of it so that he can match frequency from what he's trying to attract.
Yeah. That's really cool when that starts to happen. Like I'm starting to get better at that. I know the one thing that stands out to me obviously is our bus that worked out. It was within the span of a week. Those of you that don't know,
that was awesome.
My husband and I, we bought a school bus. Like we have a school bus because we're going to turn it into a tiny home, not to live in full time, but to use as like an RV and travel around and just have freedom. It's going to have solar power eventually and have bathroom and kitchen, like fully functional, could live in. If the zombie apocalypse happens, like we can totally survive in that.
Can I come on your bus if it happens?
Do what? Oh yeah.
I can be the healing person.
You'll be the healer. Yeah, yeah. You're welcome on the bus.
Just bubble around the bus.
Yeah. But it was literally within the span of a week. Like we started watching one of those house hunting shows, and they were buying islands, and somehow it transpired into us talking about, oh, we should get a school bus. We've kind of seen that. That'd be cool. And like we found this bus. It was perfect. Already had the seats taken out. Already painted white on the outside, which is good for insulation because it reflects the sun, because it's a big metal container essentially. The people
They're
had
shipping containers.
documented everything that they had done. They were really
That
sweet.
was
It was
cool.
only 3 hours away. We had just got our tax refund in, which was pretty much the exact amount we needed to pay. Like within the
That was
span of a
pretty
week,
crazy.
that was manifested perfectly. Like it scared me a little bit how perfectly it worked out, but it did. And so we have a school bus and we're
Isn't
renovating
that
it.
funny
And yeah,
that it scared you, like that you almost doubted it in a way?
I did. I was like,
Like this is
wait,
too good to be true. Like what's
yeah,
happening? But it's
yeah.
because you were vibrating high enough to be in frequency and alignment with that.
Yeah,
That's
and I felt that too. Like I felt like almost a vibrational energy in my body because it was such happiness and excitement. Even
yeah.
though people
It was
don't
the
normally buy
energy.
school buses, like how weird is that?
Yeah.
But we were so happy, and I was like, this is right. Like I know it is, and it's all worked out. I'm enjoying the process, and I'm just manifesting all the places we can go, and people share things on social media, and I bookmark it. I'm like, oh, that'd be amazing to go there, or that's a great idea. And so it's become this whole thing that it's a passion of sorts, a very
Yeah.
strange, weird passion, but I love it and it brings me joy. And I manifested that, or my husband and I,
Yeah.
we manifested that perfectly and extremely quickly.
Yeah.
And I love our bus story.
It is so cool.
Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, since we were talking about cleaning stuff up, since you guys have been tuning into this, and now this is episode 11, 11 weeks. It's actually been longer than that because we had to take a week or two off here and there. Have you started cleaning up your baggage that we talked about? And if you have you started noticing a difference in your life to the things that you're attracting, or that are situations that are coming in, doors that are opening? I'm just curious, have you seen that in your life? Have anyone noticed that yet or started working on those things? And if not, that's fine too. I'm just
Yeah. That's a
curious.
good question. Because we do have a lot of people that they're
Got a lot
consistently
of
watching
regulars.
and are
Yeah,
regulars. Yeah.
little fans.
Yeah.
They're
Because
actually part of the show. So are they fans? Like, they're co-host in
are
a
they
way.
fans? I don't know. I guess so. I'm like, we're just all people. I don't like the labels of like fans. I'm not looking
No,
for
that's why I
fans.
said
I just
co-host because we're
like
technically interacting with them
friends.
the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
They're
I would think
providing.
so. Because
It's a collective.
yeah. And I see people, are my friends that watch this and I see their posts and,
Yeah,
I like
that's
to
what I was
think that
curious
I
to see.
see
Like,
them evolving a little bit and learning and it makes me
so do
happy.
you? So any of you guys that are watching, if you're still watching live or the replay and you're watching this and you tune in, um, have you noticed a difference? Have you started putting any things we've talked about into practice yet, or even just changing your thinking? Like, have you started looking at things differently? And by doing so, have you noticed a difference in your life? Like I said, things manifesting to you more quickly, opportunities presenting themselves more, strings of good luck happening, or doors opening. I'm just, you know.
Yeah. Good question.
Lorraine said, having it painted white and not school bus yellow will help you get it licensed in an RV.
Oh, that's a good tip. And yeah, I don't, yellow's not like my color. And yeah, so
Not your
it will be
sunshine, but
white.
no.
And I do want to get some like little artwork on the side of it. It's going to be really pretty. Because I do see some, and everyone has different budgets and stuff and different tastes, but there's some buses that are a little more rustic. I'm like, my bus is going to be very chic and fancy and bright and happy. So yeah, no yellow for me. So
No solar plexus for you.
I know. Let's see. Oh, Darcy says, definitely seems like there are connections happening. I'm trying to carve out more time to act on some of these connections opportunities. That's good.
That's awesome. So good connections, right? Like ahas or new opportunities for you. And then do you see people around you changing because of those things? Like, are you having different conversations around friends or family or coworkers? And do you see you changing yet? Do you see it impacting those around you? Because that really does happen. The more
Mm-hmm.
when you're working on yourself, Morgan talked about that earlier, the ripple effect, it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so much people are thinking, well, I need to change this outside world to fit how it needs to be or whatever. The secret, the true secret, is when you work on yourself internally, your external world changes.
So true.
And that's a lot because you're shifting your perspective, how you view certain things, how you're processing certain things. And what's also cool is because you're doing that, the ripple effect goes over to other people in your lives. Like I said, whether it's friends, family, coworkers, and just life in general. It's pretty cool. Even strangers, honestly, because you interact with them at a different level than you did with the old version of yourself.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
And you don't have to force it down people's throat. It's
Yeah.
more, I don't know if it's just because subconsciously they're picking up on it and they feel a difference in your energy, but they're not quite sure what it is, but they like it and they want to be like that or feel that way because you look really happy.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have them asking you more questions like, "Oh, what's going on? You're
Yeah.
glowing today.
Yeah. You're like,
What's going on there?" And that opens up that doorway to conversation for you then to share your knowledge and then that ripple effect continue. So it's pretty cool.
it is really cool.
So keep up the good work. You're already doing it. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And there might be times, like, because we've talked about this before, it's not all perfect, right? There might be times when you're working on this stuff, sometimes when you're working on the light and being of higher vibration, sometimes that does attract the lower vibration. And here's the thing, it's always a test. That's all it is. And what I mean by that is if you are starting to vibrate higher, and you're changing, let's use boundaries, right? We talk about boundaries on a lot of people. That seems to be a pretty common thing that people have.
Yes.
So let's say I'm about to be 30 this year, okay? So let's say for me that for most of my life, and this is true, I did not have boundaries. I'm a very giving person. I always would give so much that I depleted myself, right? Or people would use me and whatever. Well, when I went to set boundaries, which was of higher vibration because I decided this isn't how I want to live anymore, what do I need to do to change this? Okay, for me, it was setting boundaries. Well, when I started to go set those boundaries at first, it was not like everyone was like, oh, okay, great, good for you. No, that's not how it went.
Yeah.
People get used to interacting with you certain ways, especially if it's been over long periods of time. So it's like they got to relearn how to now interact with you because it's going to be different. So when you set up those boundaries, sometimes it can cause like a little rift because it makes people uncomfortable because people don't like change for the most part, right? Or maybe they were benefiting from you not having boundaries. Well, now you've got this boundary, and so their easy access to whatever it was has been cut off, and they're pissed off about it, right? All that is, though, when that stuff comes up, you just have to keep going.
Yep.
Put your head down or up or whatever. Just look forward and just keep going one step in front of the other. Because it's just a test. And when I say this, is because when you raise your vibration, it's going to happen because it's contrast. People will see it. Sometimes they'll be envious. They'll have their own shit with it, whatever. And they will try to pull you back down. And it's a test for you not to get sucked into that. So that's why we talk on here all the time about the mindfulness and the reacting, right, by intention, not by default. Because old you might have just got upset and like, well, no, this is my boundary, whatever, and like went about it that way and like projected anger, right, because of it. But when you come from a place of intention and it's all good intentions, it's different. Like when you're interacting with them and you're setting this new boundary, it's actually testing you to see where you're at mentally, right? Like you're saying you're at this vibration, you're thinking this way. Let's see how you're really thinking. It's just a test. That's all it is. So,
Lots of tests. Lots of tests.
Really, and it's going to continue like that. But I just wanted to say that because it isn't always just rainbows and butterflies. When you start raising your vibration, sometimes it does bring up stuff. It brings people out of the woodwork that you haven't talked to in 15 years, and they're like, oh, all of a sudden, like, coming up. And you know why I believe that is because we've talked about this. When you travel, any person you ever connected with, whatever, we leave energetic imprints, right? We have that energetic connection once we connect with somebody because we all are connected. And I believe that when you set those boundaries, especially with toxic people, even if you don't talk to them anymore, they can sense the change.
Oh,
like,
yes.
and that's why and I know it's happened to some of you guys before, but when you cut that person off or whatever, like, you don't have to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
to them, but like, you've decided, right, that I'm not interacting with that person anymore.
Yes.
How many times have you gotten a text or a phone call or a random message from that person right after you decided that? And it's, I think, because energetically they're picking up on that.
Yeah.
That's my.
Yeah. And that's hard. And yeah, those toxic people can be, that's a very big challenge in and of
Toxic? That's what
itself,
I mean.
but it's,
But remember, they also hurt. So if you can view it that way,
yeah.
when those
And you
tests
don't
come
do
up,
it from a place of hate. It's just, it's really a
exactly,
place of love
of love.
for
That's where it
yourself,
has to come from.
and also
And
not
for
being
that
an
person.
enabler, you know, because some there,
Thank you.
it's like, I'm
Exactly.
not going to, because there's someone specific in mind, you know,
I know who you're thinking about.
I know, yeah,
What?
I know, yeah. And it sucks that you have to do it, because you shouldn't have to do this with this person in your life, but they're just a toxic person, and everyone else has enabled them their entire
Mm-hmm.
life. And you just have to be the person that steps up and
Break the
says,
cycle.
no, I'm not going to allow this anymore. And just, and you cut it off. And it's amazing how much more peace you have in your life when it's from a place of love and peace in yourself, even though from their perspective you're just like this shitty asshole person, and
You
like
don't
they're
worry
like, you're
about
the
this.
worst person ever, but you're like, it's really not about hate. You're
Yeah.
toxic, and I'm not going to allow that in my life anymore, and I'm
That's why
sorry
your
no one's
intention
done
is
that
so
for you
important.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. Your intention is so important because when you do that, sometimes there is backlash from that person trying to project on you. And if you can just focus on, that's not where you're coming from and not feed that, then
Yeah.
you're not going to react where they're reacting on their level.
Oh,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
Exactly. And then no, like, you know, they're going to go talk, and like, you know what, let them talk, let them. And if other people are going to feed into that, like, it's fine. Those other people are just choosing to look at one side of the story, and you don't want
Exactly.
people in your life that are only going to look at one side of the story. So
Exactly.
it's all going to work out how it needs to, even though it's going to be a little bit bumpy and kind of sucky, but in the long run, it's
It'll
necessary
be
for
better
your
off.
growth and for theirs.
Yeah. And the truth is, some people's programs are so like genuinely deeply ingrained in them, they don't even realize what they're doing. So
Yes.
sometimes you setting that boundary can be that wake up, that aha, that light shining on it for them because they
Yeah.
literally had no idea, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe no one's been secure in themselves enough to bring it to light before.
Yeah.
But you're able to come from this intentful place of high vibration to do that
Mm-hmm.
and then move on from there. And what happens is don't hold on tight to whatever you want the outcome to be, right? Like
Right.
hold your ground, say your piece, put your intention with love, and then release it. And let
Mm-hmm.
the universe take care of it. Because if
Yeah.
that person's not in alignment with you, they're not a vibrational match, the universe will push them out of your life. Trust me on this.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, I've
I can
done
tell
that
you
too.
time
Yeah.
and time again, but I promise you,
Yeah.
the universe takes care of it always.
Yep.
Do you want to get the comments?
Yeah. Let's see. So, okay, there's Darcy. Darcy says, yes, they're good connections. I haven't noticed people around me but that could be happening. Just haven't noticed.
Yeah.
And she says, your bus is awesome. I love that you share the process. Thank you. I
It
was
is
working
pretty.
on Windows before I came on to do this video,
The window.
which are going to be a lot easier than I think. So that's a very positive thing. So
Yeah, that
I'm
is. That's
like,
awesome.
heck yeah, Windows. And then Darcy says, yes, working on the higher vibration, but sometimes things get in the way. I'll keep going. Yes, keep going. Yes, keep going.
Here's the trick
Yes.
to what you just said. But sometimes things get in the way. Things don't get in the way. It's just an opportunity to pivot, to redirect yourself.
Yep.
You're more powerful than those things. So they don't get in your way. You can plow through them, whatever. Just pivot, redirect, go around.
Yep.
Just keep going.
Just
And
experience.
yeah, like don't get discouraged and stop. Like you said, just keep going. Just keep swimming. Just
Just
keep
keep
swimming. Just
swimming.
keep
Just
going.
keep swimming.
So do you guys have any questions about anything we've talked about so far? As far as emotions? I know we've kind of went all over the place and come
We
back.
go all over the place, and it's fine. But yeah. Oh my God, it's already 10 o'clock. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
These always, the time, it just goes so fast when we do this.
Pivot, yes.
Pivot.
I use pivot because I'm a basketball fan, so
Are you?
that's, yeah.
I hate all sports, any sports, all the time.
Yes. I know, I'm
But I
aware,
know
but
that you love them, and I respect you
no, no,
that you
no,
love
no.
them.
I love basketball. That's what I love. That was my
Oh,
thing growing up, right? That
yeah.
was my outlet when
It's
we
better
talked
than
about things.
football. It's better than football. Oh my
Yeah,
God, I
well,
hate football.
I liked
Blah.
basketball because I like to prove people wrong, right? Like
Yeah.
I was so tiny growing up, like I was so petite.
Yeah.
I should show you guys pictures, but I literally look like I was not in the grade I was supposed to. I look like a grade or two younger.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
got crap all the time for being little. And I remember in second grade when I told my mom that I wanted to play basketball, she was like, she like literally looked at me. She's like, "You're too small." And they
Oh.
ended up letting me play though. So at my school they had this thing called little dribblers,
Oh, thank
and so I doing that. It's pretty funny. It was cool though because we had like legit NBA team names. I
oh,
don't
that's
remember which one was
awesome.
my first one, but I played every year.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so they ended up letting me play, and I ended up being really freaking good because
Yeah.
me being small, right? People weren't paying attention to me, and I was really fast, so I
Yeah.
could
Oh, there
steal the
she
ball and just
goes.
like,
Oh God.
yeah, and I'd be down on the other side of the floor
Whoosh.
with a layup, like, and I'm like, yeah, so
That's
that's why I like.
cool. Oh, that's good.
And I played softball, but basketball is my thing.
Yeah. That's your thing. That's got your heart.
Yes, for sure. Darcy said, I really enjoy this time with you both and the others watching too. Thank you. We enjoy this time with
Yeah.
you guys. We look forward to this every week, and we
We
know you
do.
guys do too because you tell us when we aren't able to do it also. But then you tell us like now, like
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
We look forward to these things, and these exist, like we said, because of you guys. Like that's the whole
Mm-hmm.
reason we created this space, and
Yeah.
that we continue this because we have gotten so much great feedback from it, and how much it impacts people. Like that's really cool because this literally started when me and Morgan was sitting around one day just talking about our out there chats. We're like,
I
more
know.
more people need to be involved in this conversation,
I know. Because we have the
and here
best
we are.
conversations. And I'm trying to think
Yeah,
what it was. Yeah, because I was at the old Transcend
the studio. Yeah,
office, and I think you were just
I
talking
don't
about like
remember.
changes happening, and we started talking about live videos because I do live videos all the time. And then I think I was like, hey, you should do more live. And it's like, oh, we should do one together because dual lives
Yeah,
are
we're like,
awesome.
let's make it
And
happen.
then,
And it
and
literally happened like that.
yeah,
And
and
here
then
we are.
yeah, we came up with the name and like, or we brainstormed on it. I came up with
Yeah.
things that were more probably brash, and then Ashton was like, awaken. It's very calming and soothing. Um,
I don't think yours were
we're
French. You're
good.
funny.
Well, I think mine was like, wake up. It's like, I hashtag that a
Sometimes
lot.
going
And
off of yours.
awaken
Yes.
is the more smooth version of wake up. So
Yeah.
it's
It's like, wake
we're
up.
a good fit. Yeah. Yeah. I get a little intense sometimes. So yeah, it
And
was
we
just, it
purposely picked
happened.
out everything. Yeah. Like, and
Yeah.
then like the logo, like all of that was picked out purposely. There's a reason behind all of it.
Yeah.
So like the triangle, just like with the transcend triangle, right? In my
Hmm.
logo, it's about it's a balance in mind, body, spirit. And then
Yeah.
there's the all-seeing eye in the middle of it
It's
because we were
not
talking about
Illuminati.
awakening.
It's not
Yeah,
Illuminati stuff.
it's not Illuminati. We're talking about awakening to your third
Right.
eye,
Just your
like
third
hello.
eye. Yeah.
So
Don't get it
we're just trying to
twisted.
think outside the box. And there's
Yeah.
some of you guys that are on here all the time that already think that way, and that's awesome. And that's why we like you to interact because you're sharing that knowledge too with other people. It's not just us. This is a community. That's why we've created this weekly
Yeah.
to do these things.
Yeah.
And then there's some of you that are hopping on that you're just getting into this, which is so cool too
Hmm.
because then it's like, if this space didn't exist, would you even have the opportunity to talk about this or feel safe enough? Is that the word? To talk
Probably
about this.
safe because there's a lot of fear
A lot of
around
judgment or whatever. Yeah.
talking about things that
Out there
aren't,
thing.
yeah, like things that
The
are out
norm.
there, like,
The mainstream.
yeah,
Yeah.
like who's gonna talk about aliens and like your chakras and your energy and
Yeah.
these books
We
about
talk about
past
all of it here.
lives and religion and all that stuff, like that's taboo. I'm like, we'll talk about it, we don't care.
Yeah.
It's just
And
a
that's what
topic.
we always tell you guys too. Like if we have like a rolling list going, but anytime you guys have something that comes up that you want us to talk about on here, PM us, comment on here, whatever, and say,
Hmm.
hey, in the future, could we talk about this in an episode? And
Yeah.
we go through these. That's usually what we use. Like either we'll think about it ourselves or we'll go through the list and pick one of those things to cover on that week's episode.
Yep.
So we're always open to suggestions because this is an open dialogue. We really want to know what are the things that you have questions about. What do you want to talk about? Because this is not just me and Morgan sitting here talking to each other. Like, yes, we do that, but we also talk to you. This is an open, collective conversation that we have all the time.
Yes. Let's see. Beth says, that's me, new to this. Oh, well, thanks for joining us,
That's
Beth.
awesome. Yeah.
That's
We're happy
awesome.
to have you here. Like, you're
Yeah.
going to learn a lot of stuff. And you can actually go back and watch the previous 10 episodes. You probably get a lot of knowledge. They are about, what, an hour and a half is probably
About
the
an hour and
average.
a half is the average.
Some of
Yeah.
them might be almost 2 hours, but we usually around an hour and a half is where we, so
Yeah.
we're there now. So
I
we're
know.
probably in this one shortly. But that's usually how long they are. So you don't have to listen to them all at once, and you don't have to watch them. You can go back and listen to them while you're driving or whatever. But there's a lot of good stuff,
Yeah.
and we have them on both of our websites. So transcendwellnessok.com has them. You can scroll down to the middle of the page, click on View All Videos, and then you can see your website that has
Yeah.
them.
Mine's intentionallyminimalish.com. And all the list is just, if you scroll down a little bit, it's in the middle of my page. You can click on all the episodes, and Ashton gets it all set up with the logo, so you know exactly what the topic is. And yeah, just watch it.
And usually I'll do it, so like after today, I'll download this, and by the next day, they'll be uploaded on that playlist. It'll always have the next one, or the one we just did the night before. So
Yep.
it's always updated. But we are here, Beth, just so you know, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So feel free to join us anytime. If you can't catch the live, you can always go back and watch the replay and comment. We always go back. And if someone wasn't able to catch us live, we're pretty good about going back and answering any questions or commenting on things they might have said on the replay. So we're happy to have you.
Yes.
And then all of our regular people that are on here, you know, the past 10, 11 episodes, there's 11 episodes now.
That's
We're happy to
really
have you guys
cool.
too.
Yeah.
Like, this has grown because of you guys.
Yeah.
A lot of you guys share this, and it's really cool because it helps even more people see it. That are beyond mine and Morgan's reach, right? Like, there could be somebody in your world that we don't know. And when you share those things, like when you share the videos or share the event about the videos, it's reaching even more people than we can even reach on our own.
Yep.
And that's the whole point, is we want to have the biggest impact possible. Because there could be somebody in your circle. That's the other cool thing, is there could be somebody in your circle you don't even know is into this stuff yet.
Yeah.
And then when you share something, it opens up that door for that conversation. They're like, oh my God, I
I
totally
didn't
love
know
this
you like
person.
this. Oh my
No
God.
idea.
And then you've like made a new BFF because you can talk about whatever.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my God, it's a safe space for me. Hey, let's talk about UFOs.
Yeah. That's literally one of the best things that can happen, is you're kind of feeling out, talking to someone new, and somehow it happens, some little comment or question, and then you like feel into it and you're like, oh my gosh, like you speak my language, because it almost is a language that
And you're just like, oh my God, where have you been my whole life?
Yeah. And I know a lot of times, and I'm working better on it. You can tell it's getting late. I'm getting better about it. I'm getting better about speaking my truth, but also knowing who I'm talking to and having to alter or translate from Morgan language to
Where they understand.
normal people language. Not that I'm not normal.
I'm pretty good at bridging.
I did not mean that as an insult. I just meant like people that aren't awakened to different things. I have to change the way I talk so that I can communicate with them without them completely like glazing over or shutting down or being like, bye, like that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying too. Like, I do that. I think there's an art to being able to bridge the two worlds.
Yeah.
And I think I've gotten good at it because of what I do. I mean, I've had to do that, you know, being here in Oklahoma, educating people when first open Transcend and doing all the things. I was talking about Reiki and what I do. I couldn't just be spewing these things, right? People would be like, what? Like, not listening.
Okay.
So I've had to find ways, and I've fine-tuned ways to bridge the two worlds together so that I can still share my message and my view, but I can also at the same time meet them where they're at to show them that they are not so separate after all. And when I do that, I've noticed it's like a little ding, little light bulb goes off in their head.
Yeah.
And then they start asking questions, because now, as we talked about earlier, people want connection.
Yeah.
So if you can meet them where they're at, and you can still talk about the things you're talking about, but you can slightly tweak it so that they can comprehend it. Because they only know what they know. If you can tweak it just a little bit so that they can comprehend it and still think a little bit outside the box, it will change everything for you.
Yeah. I had
and
to
it
do that
changes
with my
the
husband at
conversation.
first. Like my husband, who I've known for 17 years, I would like in the beginning of this, I had to like, this is what I mean. Like I'd say things and he's like,
Yeah.
I have, I
But now he's
literally
like
have no
totally
idea what you're saying. And now he's like, okay, I got you. So yeah,
yeah. Or
it
maybe
just
now
takes
he's even ahead
time.
of you and like he knows that, well, if you're doing this, is what this means, and I'm gonna be proactive. It's pretty cool.
It's not ahead of me. Just kidding. Just
Okay, it's
kidding.
not a race, guys. It's not a race. I mean, it is, but
Just
it's not.
kidding. No, he's accelerating very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. It's
Well,
very
here's the
impressive.
thing, though. And it's okay if he gets ahead of you because that means you were a
Yes,
good teacher.
that's right. I
Because
hope my kids get ahead of me. Like
they will.
yeah,
Every student that I've ever had, ever, even ones I haven't had yet, have the potential to exceed me because I'm sharing my knowledge that has taken me so long to capture, to learn, to whatever. I'm passing it on, and they're getting it so much faster without having that time gap delay.
yeah,
That they have the opportunity to surpass me and teach me things that I
yeah.
haven't even learned yet because they're picking
That's
it up so
cool.
much quicker. That means you're a good teacher if that's the case.
Yeah.
So don't look at it in a negative light. It's a good thing.
Oh, I know. I
I
was
hope all my
joking.
students pass
I
me.
was joking.
Oh, there's some comments. Hold on.
Let's see.
And then we
Oh,
can end up.
Lorraine says, don't do aliens until later in July. I'm out of town the first week of July and I really want to participate in that one. Okay. Okay. So we'll do aliens sometime after
Like middle
first week in
July,
July.
maybe?
Yeah, middle of July. That'll be good.
Middle to
I'm
some.
intrigued because I've never experienced that. All I know is they exist and that there's so much that I don't know. But it, like I said, it fascinates me to no end. And the more I read about things and hear things, like they start to make sense. Like some
Like
of
ancient
the
technology.
there's ancient technology, like the
Pyramids.
pyramids.
How
Fascinated by the
everyone back
pyramids.
then built similar pyramids, yet they had no internet and no way to
I
connect
know. And
to
like
know
people
how
just
to
like
build similar things. And
drag things.
precision cut people that you can't
Yeah.
even make today with
Yeah.
things.
Precision cut that were just dragged by people from like across the desert and stacked like
Like
that. No way.
huge, heavy
That's
things.
BS.
There's
That's total BS. That's total BS. But even
we're going into all of that now, but
right,
yes, that's
right. But it even gets into things. I just watched something new. I get excited about it. The angels in the Bible are actually extraterrestrials. And I know that gets controversial because it's religious and all that stuff, but it's fascinating to me. I don't mean it
it's
in
not,
like a negative
it's
way.
not
It's
weird to
just
me though.
so cool. And it's
Because to me, I think everything, like we talked about, everything's energy, and I think we like to put labels on things. So we'll
we
say,
do.
like the word extraterrestrials is something us humans made up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's just
So
a
to
word to
me, an
describe
angel,
something.
yeah, an angel
Yeah.
can be energy, an alien could be energy. For all
Yeah.
we know, aliens are angels. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much.
Yeah.
It's just energy. That's all
Yeah,
it is, and it
exactly.
can be different
I'm
forms.
sure to
That's all I'm
aliens, we're aliens. Like those weird human alien things down there, you know.
relevant. So where is that?
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, okay, so we'll wait till July to get it. That'll be a very fun one.
I'm excited.
I
So
am
thanks
too.
for the
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah.
We'll get you covered, guys. Well, does
Yeah.
anybody have any questions before we wrap up anything that we've covered tonight? Did you guys enjoy this? We talked about emotions.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll touch on future episodes more on some of the stuff we talked about tonight, and then we'll expand a little bit more on it. We don't just stick to one topic the whole time,
Yeah.
as most of you know.
It weaves.
But we
in and
always
out.
come back to them.
Yeah.
Did you guys enjoy this? Did you get some knowledge from it? I mean, I gained some stuff from you guys on it.
I enjoyed it.
I did too. I
Yeah.
always look forward to these.
Me too.
All right. Well, if
All
there's
right.
nothing else for you guys, we're gonna wrap it up. We went longer than we normally do, so you're welcome. But again, if you're watching the replay, we appreciate you watching the replay. And feel free to still put comments or anything like that. And if you're watching and you want to go back and watch the other episodes, we gave both of our websites. We can also, I think I'll go back and put those both of our websites in all of the titles of the lives. So
Oh,
that you
yeah.
guys can, so that they can just click on it, not have to go through all the comments. So.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing is, if you're not part of the AWAKEN Vlogcast community, we created a little group. And what we did with that is, so we have some regulars that are usually on here that have went to that group, and it's so that you guys can interact with each other even when we're not doing live. So like you don't have to wait a week to have these conversations. Like if something really cool happens and before the week is up and you want to share it or talk about it or whatever, like that's what it's there for. And we also try to post like resources and stuff we talk about on here in that group so that you guys can go back and get to them easily.
Absolutely.
That's what I got. So thank you guys for joining tonight. Oh, there's one more.
Yeah,
more
I was
comment.
like, Lorraine added a comment.
Do I need to pursue an NLP certificate if I'm close to earning my EFT certificate, one in the same or two different modalities? I think they're different. And just a quick thing on that, and we'll wrap it up. So the reason I think they're different, they are a little bit similar, but they're still different. So like an EFT, which you know this, if someone's feeling a certain, let's say, negative emotion, a lot of times they'll tap that in, right? The negative emotion, they'll do all the tapping and all the stuff. The thing with NLP is it actually changes how the brain's even thinking about it. It's like, how do I describe it? It's like redirecting from even thinking about that emotion. Does that make sense? So like EFT focuses on the emotion, NLP focuses on unfocusing on that emotion and directing your brain to like, hey, look over here instead.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's taking your attention off the thing, whereas EFT is focusing on the attention on the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I don't know in EFT if you learned what I was talking about earlier, like the sensory acuity and stuff like that. I don't know if you learned any of that, but like paying attention. So like when you're working on somebody and their eyes are even closed and you just watch their facial expressions, right? Yes, NLP redirects, EFT, exactly. But if you're watching them and they close their eyes and you ask them to go back to, I don't know, say it was a trauma. You ask them to go back to the trauma. If you watch their face, you can tell the moment their brain goes right back to the trauma, and that's when you do the thing to pull them out, or to change the memory, or to change how they're viewing the memory. There's a lot of things the NLP is really good for. So I think it's good to pursue it just because it's another tool in your toolbox. Like there's not everything fits everyone, right? So some people I use the NLP on, some people I can use the Reiki on. Some people I use both. It just depends. And it's just another tool that you have access to. So, there's a lot of cool things about it, though. You'll learn a lot about the human mind, the ins and outs, how it works, how to redirect things, how to change things. It's really neat. So
it's fascinating.
And there's actually a training. I don't know where you're located at. But Dr. Matt James, I don't think he actually does the training anymore, but he has, what's his name? Dr. John something does the training. And it's like a week long. It's like 5 to 7 days long, usually, to get certified to be an NLP practitioner. You also have to go do the techniques and stuff through class. And then afterwards, you have a 30-day action plan you do. And then after that, you can pass a written test and a multiple choice test also. And they actually have to go, like, it's not easy to get it. Like, you actually have to go through all the steps because the reason they're so strict on that is because when you're in this realm, you could really affect someone's mind. So they want to make sure you 100% know what you're doing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's important.
Yeah.
And then after you go through all that, you and you pass your test, the written, you do a 30-day action plan, you do, what else did I say? The multiple choice test. After you do all those things, and then you pass all those things, and I know that you understand it, then you become a certified NLP practitioner of Association of Integrative Psychologists.
Wow.
Psychology. And then you'll have like a number, so it'll be like all legit. So I don't know if that helps you out. And the training is not that expensive. It's like stupid. It's like so stupid. It's not expensive. Like it still blows my mind. It's less than $200.
Really? Like a week-long course that intensive?
Stupid.
Dang.
It's because
that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't even remember like, and it's sold out almost every time. Like,
well, that's like
it's crazy, and it's so good.
That's like Groupon pricing or something. Like,
I don't know. I mean, he has bigger scale of things that you can go to from also.
Yeah.
But that thing specifically, it's crazy stupid, but it's like in a good way. Like.
Oh yeah, good crazy stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's based out of Hawaii. He actually lives in Hawaii. So, but he
Oh,
travels the States.
Hawaii.
When I took my training, I went down to Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I think he goes to LA or San Diego. He travels a lot of different main big areas to hit
Yeah.
people for his training.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any of those are close to you or where you live, but you can always go on the website and look it up. But look up Dr. Matt James.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yawning.
So thank you guys. So that was it. I know that was longer than I planned, but there's a
Oh,
lot to
no, it was good.
explain.
It was good.
Okay, so I'll make sure I got all of our comments. Okay, so we're good. Thank you guys for joining. We look forward to seeing you guys again next week, same time,
Next
Wednesday
week.
night, 8:30 Central Standard Time. You get approved.
I'm
Sorry,
hilarious.
comment was funny. You are funny. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us tonight. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. And we
Yes.
will see you guys next week.
All right.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Later.